Hi, I'm Terry Kolath. I'm here today with Melissa Butler, political scientist, and we're going to see a whole new interest of Melissa Butler today. She is going to talk about if you build it, they will come, the evolution of the American baseball park. Hi, Melissa.
Hi, Terry.
So how did this come up, your interest in baseball?
Well, it's long term. It really began when I was a little teeny kid, and my grandfather used to take me down to 52nd Market Street in Philadelphia to buy me a Philadelphia A's baseball hat. And then going to baseball games with my parents to see the Phillies play. And then when I was in graduate school, I went to Johns Hopkins, and Memorial Stadium was about 6 or 8 blocks away. So I went to a lot of baseball games, and I've often said that I probably would have finished my degree years earlier if it hadn't been for the Orioles. Then I went to Wabash College and taught there for 38 years, and they had a program there called the Freshman Tutorial. And in a freshman tutorial, what you're supposed to do is find some subject that will engage students and really use that subject to teach them things like reading and writing and discussion and so forth at a college level. So Wabash is also a single-sex college for men, and not that women aren't interested in baseball, but I knew it would be something that would grab their interest. So I started in about 1995 teaching this freshman course on baseball. It was enormously popular, and in fact, literally, students would sign up for it. Some students would hear about it and that sign-ups were available and would come in, drive to the campus that day and file their application to be in the course. So it was very popular. But the real advantage of that for me was that it gave me an opportunity to learn a lot about baseball. Sure. And it has so many different dimensions, and I could use it with my students to teach them economics, to teach them history, to teach them urban planning, all very sneakily. I would take them to a ball game, either up to Wrigley Field or down to Cincinnati's ballpark. And of course, then they had to write a paper. This class that I'm giving here, people won't have to write a paper, but we will have a quiz, as you know, to see who's been to what baseball parks.
Yeah, that'll be a fun quiz.
So anyway, in the course of doing all this, I was also, as a political scientist, we had our annual meetings at Labor Day weekend in a different city. And my grad school friends were all baseball fans, so we would go to the different cities and we would go to the parks. Then I began to notice that I was building up a pretty large collection of baseball parks and set for myself a bucket list goal to go to finish the parks.
Oh my gosh.
And traveled around on a few specific trips, visited with friends and former students and saw the parks in their cities, and then finished the goal finally in 2015. The only problem with that is, if your goal is baseball parks, visiting them all, they build new ones.
Right.
And this year,
never finish your bucket list.
Never finish your bucket list. So this year, Atlanta had a new park. So the week after Hurricane Irma, I ended up driving up to Atlanta, not to escape the hurricane damage, but to see the baseball park, so I could complete my set. So that's kind of the background of how I come to the subject, sort of from a personal standpoint.
That is fascinating, and to think you're bringing you got into it so that you could inspire people to learn. And develop all these varieties of skills. But isn't that the epitome of lifelong learning, where you get a reason to delve into something that you're just passionate about?
Sure.
And
absolutely.
It grows and grows, and then the opportunity to share it. It's
absolutely.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Absolutely.
So a lot of questions come to mind listening to you. One question would be, are they very different?
Oh, yes. They're very different. Even the current ones are very different from one another. But interestingly enough, of the 30 current baseball parks, I think about 20 of them were designed by the same architectural firm.
Interesting. That's a specialty. Huh?
And those range from, being opinionated here, the one that I think is the worst park in Major League Baseball, which is in Tampa, on through Camden Yards, which was the great revival park that seemed to change baseball park architecture.
Will we see any of these parks in your lecture?
Oh, we'll see lots. There's lots and lots of pictures. Pictures going back to the 19th century. Yeah.
Really? And will you talk about baseball itself?
A little bit, but I'll also talk about some things that bring local connections with baseball. So we'll spend a fair amount of time on Shibe Park, which was Connie Mack's park, and of course Connie Mack introduced spring training and introduced it in Fort Myers.
Yeah.
So we'll have that connection, and then we'll also look at Fenway Park in Boston and that local connection. The new JetBlue Park is basically a kind of clone on the inside anyway of Fenway Park. So we'll look at a lot of those touches.
And that brings us to something we also want to remind everybody with their newfound background in baseball after your lecture. We're going to go to spring training baseball, Twins versus Boston Red Sox, right in our happenings trip on the 27th.
That's right. So yeah, we'll have an opportunity to see there the Hammond Field, which is at the new CenturyLink complex, and which was also developed shortly after JetBlue Park was built. The Twins said, "Hey, what about us?"
Yeah, yeah.
and the County of Lee decided to help them out a little bit.
So the Twins versus the Boston Red Sox. Are we going to learn in your lecture that you have any favorites?
It might sneak out somehow. Yeah, there will definitely be opinions.
Well, you have to wait. You have to wait and be at this program to find out Melissa Butler's favorite team, in addition to all the rest of the information she's going to share with us. This is going to be a lot of fun. Thank you.